Hi everyone, welcome to S4 Sharnya Science classes. I hope you all are able to follow my videos. If it is really helpful for you, please support me by liking and sharing with your friends. If anybody still remind to subscribe my channel, then please subscribe it also. So hi everyone, today we are going to learn about the phylum Cnidaria, right? So the second phylum of animal kingdom. We have already learned about Phylum Porifera, the pore-bearing animals. What do you mean by Phylum Cnidaria? Phylum Cnidaria, because of they have a special cell that's called a Cnidoblast. That's why they have the name Cnidaria, which is the second phylum of animal kingdom. First, we will discuss about the general characteristics. Then we will have a detailed look. Right. So, what are the general characteristics? The grade of organization or the level of organization, if you are checking, you can see here. Somewhat higher than that Porifera. In Porifera, there were cellular level of organization. There will be aggregates of cells. Here you can see that there will be tissue level of organization. That means these aggregates of cells have together performing a specialized function. So here somewhat or more advanced, you can say that they are in the tissue level of organization, right? And if you are checking the body symmetry, you can see that most of the organisms here you can have the radial symmetry. That means if you are cutting that plane which is passing through the central axis, you can get equal halves. So that's why we are telling they are having radial symmetry, right? And what about the germ layers? They have two germ layers, the ectoderm and the endoderm. Mesoderms are absent, so that's why it is diploblastic in nature. Mesoderm, obviously it is absent, so obviously we told that these are coelomate organisms, right? Now, what another things, if you are checking that what is their habitat and all, you can see that they mostly aquatic hai, right? And in aquatic you can see that most of them are marine habitat, right? So here you can see that जो organism mostly ये सारे Coelenterata, Cnidaria otherwise known as Coelenterata, these all organism. Why this name is Coelenterata? Because these organism having a special gut cavity which is called coelentron, right? तो coelentron है इसलिए Coelenterata नाम लिया है. Cnidaria क्यों आई है? Because they have a specialized cell Cnidoblast, right? That we will discuss later, right? If you are checking the habitat, you can see that most of the organisms, इसमें से जितना organisms है वो mostly aquatic है और उसमें भी marine forms सबसे ज़्यादा है, right? And they are actually here both forms, that means sessile forms, not at all moving, non-motile forms भी देख सकती है और even freely swimming organisms भी इसी same phylum में you can see that, right? And it can live as a solitary, that means अकेले भी you can see that, or as a colony also you can see that. Colonial form mostly you can see in the case of corals, right? Maybe you have heard about the corals, it is very famous, right? We will discuss later, right? Now, what about their digestive system, respiratory system and circulatory system, right? So digestive system, here also there is these organisms are having incomplete digestive system. Incomplete ki matlab hai there is only one opening for taking in and that not throwing out of that waste material, you can see that. So incomplete hai or intracellular digestion hai, you can say that intracellular digestion. In the case of Porifera also it is intracellular digestion, right? And kabhi you can even show that extracellular digestion also. Here you can see that here the hydra, the picture of hydra, the section of hydra is given. It has some tentacle for capturing the food and all. Mouth hai, right? And here you can see that there will be a cavity, gut cavity, which is called a coelentron, gastrovascular cavity or coelentron, you can see that, which is actually taking in the food inside, right, through the mouth and all. And you can see that the second stage, you can see that the soft tissues, right, you can see that here near, these are the walls. If we are taking the segments and larger segments, you can see that these cells will secrete the digestive enzymes, right, into the coelentron area, and the soft tissues will be digested very easily, right, and the food particle will be engulfed through the phagocytosis, right, and you can see that will be digested inside the cell itself, right, through the food vacuole form, and the waste material will be excreted out. It will be again throw out to the water body through the same opening. So you can see that it is having a intracellular or sometimes extracellular digestion also, you can see that, and it is having an incomplete digestive system because only one opening is there, right? What about respiratory system? There is no respiratory system present here, particularly कोई respiratory system नहीं है और circulatory system भी बिल्कुल भी absent है, right? Now, in the case of reproduction, if you are taking Cnidaria having, you can see that both sexual and asexual mode of reproduction is there. Here some special unique structure, you can see that these Cnidaria can be exist in two forms, right? Mostly one form is called polyp and another form is called medusa, right? So these two forms are, you can see that इसमें क्या होती है, पोलिप फॉर्म विच इज़ एक्चुअली मोस्टली दैट नॉर्मली इट विल नॉट मूव, वो सेसाइल फॉर्म्स होती हैं, राइट? सो यू कैन सी दैट इट विल नॉट मूव, इट विल बी अटैच टू एनी एरिया एंड ऑल, दैट एनी रॉक सर्फेस एंड ऑल, इट कैन मूव बट नॉर्मली उतना मूवमेंट नहीं दिखाती है, राइट? सो व्हाट विल हैपन, दिस पोलिप फॉर्म्स यू कैन सी दैट दे रिप्रोड्यूस एसेक्सुअली, इट कैन बी बडिंग और एनीथिंग, राइट? एंड दे विल बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू द मेडूसा फॉर्म. These medusa forms will actually undergo sexual reproduction and they will produce the polyp again, right? So here you can see that the polyp reproduces asexually, either budding or any other method, it will form the medusa, right? That's actually, you can see that, and after that the medusa sexually reproduce करके वापस polyp बनाएगा, right? So here you can see that most are actually having separate sexes here, both male and female, like that, or positive or negative, you can see that. And here that fertilization is actually external, not internal, it will be inside the water body, both, that means two medusa will come, one you can take as a positive and another a negative, or male or female, right? What will happen, one will have the male sex organ and the another will be the female, right? So here you can see that this will produce the egg and this will produce the sperm. Outside that cell, you can see that inside the water body they will fuse together and the fertilization will occur, right? And it will form the zygote later, right, into the larva stage and all, indirect development hai, right? So it will be converted into the that now what to say, the polyp form later, right? So it can be converted into the polyp, right? Again the polyphyll will be you can see that the medusa forms will be available, right? There are some organisms in that only polyp forms are available. There are some other organisms which is there only medusa form is there, but there are some special organisms जैसे कि obelia and all, polyp and medusa, which is actually alternatively it will convert. So you can see that alternation of generation is there in some organisms also, right? We will discuss that too. And here you can see that I told you there are some specialized cells are there which is called cnidoblast. Because of the presence of this cnidoblast, the name Cnidaria came, right? So you can see that in some organisms, जैसे कि hydra, you can see that there are tentacle which is finger-like structure, right? Or you can see that which is actually surrounded the mouth part. This is hydra, mouth part की सामने you can see that there will be long thread-like structure which is called the tentacle, right? So here you can see that these tentacle की sticky, it is actually there will be sticky substance will be there, and this actually used for food capturing and defense mechanisms के लिए use कर देती है, right? And in this tentacle you can see that the specialized cells are there, right? So if you are taking the structure of the tentacle, you can see that inside that there will be some specialized cells, you can see that which is having sting like structure or the trigger like structure, you can see that, and inside you can see that there will be coiled thread like structure, and the entire cell को हम बताते हैं nematocyte, right, or nematocyst हम बोलती है, right, or cnidoblast, right? You can see that. So here you can see that this is the entire cell which is actually the cnidocyte, or the you can see the inside nematocyst भी present होती है, right? So the entire cells को cnidocyte और उसके अंदर you can see that nematocytes भी present होती है. We will see that what it is. So this structure is actually the cnidocyte, you can see that. In cnidocyte की specialty है, you can see that they will have some anchorage thread like structure which is helping for the anchorage of that organism in some what will I say, prey or anything, उसको capture करने के लिए वगैरह बहुत ज़्यादा help कर देती है, right? So that you have to remember here, right? So cnidoblast, you can see that, or cnidocytes, they are the stinging cells, right? उसको sting होती है, stinging cells, you can see that, which is actually present on the tentacles of the body of that Coelenterata or Cnidaria, और जिसमें you can see that some special poisonous structure will also be present, right? वो poisonous filled capsule को हम बताइए nemocytes, right? और nematocytes, you can see that. तो ये entire cells को हम बताती है nidoblast और nidocyte, जिसके अंदर you can see that एक capsule will be there which is having poisonous substance, जिसको हम बोलती है nematocyte और nematocyst, right? हम बोलती है, राइट. सो नीडोब्लास्ट की क्या मेन फंक्शन क्या है, वो एंकरेज के लिए, किधर भी एंकरेज करने के लिए यूज़ कर देती है, डिफेंस करने के लिए भी यूज़ करती है, कभी कभी प्रे को कैप्चर करने के लिए भी हेल्प कर देती है. इट विल दिस स्पेशल स्ट्रक्चर, राइट, यू कैन सी दैट मोस्टली प्रेजेंट इन द टेंटकल ऑफ दैट ना Cnidaria, राइट. सो यू कैन सी दैट दिस इज द एंटायर स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द नीडोब्लास्ट. दिस सेल इज नीडोब्लास्ट, और उसके अंदर जो कैप्सूल सैक लाइक स्ट्रक्चर प्रेजेंट है जिसके अंदर पॉइजन होती है उसको नेमेटोसिस्ट हम बोलती है, राइट. और द थ्रेड लाइक लॉन्ग पार्ट इज विच इज एक्चुअली हेल्पिंग फॉर द एंकरेज और कैप्चरिंग द प्रे एंड ऑल. If you're checking the another unique feature, you can see that most of the Cnidarians, you can see that both two forms are there. I told you one is the polyp form and another is the medusa form. Polyp I told you mostly sedentary or sessile forms होती है. Medusa it's you can see that that ना dome shaped structure होती है, right. And both are having the gastrovascular cavity और get cavity we can see that उसका नाम है Coelentron. इसकी presence की वजह से you can see that the name Coelenterata came, right. और ये Coelentron को एक opening होती है which is a mouth like structure which को हम बोलते हैं hypostomy और hypostome, you can see that, right. So if this is the structure of Hydra, you can see the structure very clearly, right, which is actually a polyp form. Hydra is an example of polyp form and it has a gastrovascular cavity and body stalk is there. You can see that the outer layer, epidermal layer is the mesoglia, which is it is because of diploblastic. Endoderm and ectoderm is there, उसके बीच में mesoglia present होती है, right. And you can see that tentacles will also be there and there will be hypostome. This is the opening of that Coelentron cavity. If it is a medusa form, right, jellyfish जैसा आपने देखा है उसमें medusa forms होती है, then you can see that the tentacles are actually downward projected है, और mouth भी you can see that mouth और anus which is only one opening is there, incomplete digestive system है, तो वो नीचे की तरफ that ना faced है, that also you can see here, right. हमने पोलिप और मेडुसा फॉर्म के बारे में बता दिया था. From the picture you will get that clear idea about what you mean by polyp, right. That Adamsia, that's already we discussed that, or you can see that the sea anemone, or you can see that the Hydra, these all are the examples of the polyp forms, right. Even Medusa, which is actually mainly Aurelia or the jellyfish, these are the example of Medusa forms, right. So I told you Cnidarias दो फॉर्म में उसका बॉडी टू फॉर्म्स में होती है. वन इज द पोलिप फॉर्म विच इज़ अ ट्यूबुलर बॉडी है, राइट, विच इज़ एक्चुअली अटैच्ड एसेक्शुअल फॉर्म्स है ये सारे, राइट, विच इज़ एक्चुअली अपवर्ड डायरेक्टेड एंड माउथ एंड टेंटकल अपवर्ड तरफ में पॉइंटेड है, फेस्ड है, राइट. एग्जाम्पल हमने बता दिया था हाइड्रा, एडम्सिया एक्सेट्रा, राइट. और यू कैन सी द एडम्सिया, द सी एनीमोन एंड ऑल, राइट. So medusa form, you can see that it's an umbrella like structure or a dome like structure. These all are free swimming, right, not at all sessile form. These are free swims form है, and these all are sexual forms है, right. So इसका mouth और anus part और tentacle part downwardly directed है, right. Examples Aurelia or the jellyfish, right. And I told you there are some organism which is only showing polyp and another one medusa. सम ऑर्गेनिज्म ऐसे भी होती है दोनों अल्टरनेशन ऑफ जनरेशन दिखाती है. बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल इज एक्चुअली द ओबीलिया. ओबीलिया इज अ निडेरिया इन विच पोलीफॉर्म्स आर ऑल्सो अवेलेबल and you can see that medusa forms are also available. This type of that na generation is called alternation of generation or metagenesis, right. Here you can see that polyp actually asexually produce कर देती है medusa को, right, and the medusa you can see that that na sexual reproduce करके you can see that one is acting as a male and another is a female. Egg and sperm produce करेगा, externally fertilize करेगा, and after that the zygote will be developed, indirectly develop करके larva से medusa that polyp forms produce कर देती है. वापस polyps asexually medusa produce करेगा and the life cycle will repeat. Now you can see that I told you these Cnidarians can be seen as actually solitary forms में भी you can see that, और colonial form में भी you can see that. Colonial form की सबसे best example है corals, right. All the there are different types of coral very beautifully seen, right, and you can see that the coral variety जिसका outer covering, actually you can see that exoskeleton is there, which is actually made up of calcium carbonate. इसकी वजह से बहुत rigid होती है, and you can see that such corals, right, in some special area जैसे कि some islands, Lakshadweep, right, and Andaman Nicobar Deep, or the Great Barrier Reef of Australia, which is actually entirely covered by the coral reef, which is giving the protection for the island also, right. Very beautifully you can see that, right, all these things. So here there are some example of the corals given: mushroom coral, brain coral, or Mandrapora. These all are actually some of the examples of coral in which you can see that the outer covering, the exoskeleton, is made up of calcium carbonate. There are some other examples of this phylum Cnidaria, like Hydra, you can see that, Obelia, right, and the Physalia, which is otherwise known as Portuguese man of war, which is very beautiful. Physalia, this is actually known as Portuguese man of war. Sea anemone or Adamsia, right. Pennatula, which is known as the sea pen, because you can see that the structure, you can see that it is a feather like structure. In olden days, these feather which was used as a pen, right, so that's why it is known as Pennatula or sea pen, right. And you can see here Gogonia, which is actually called as sea fan. It is having a fan like structure, right. So जैसे कि हमारी old fan like structure है, so that's why you can see that, which is called Gogonia or the sea fan, right. And another one is there, which is actually the coral, which is having a brain की जो curves और depressions होती है, ऐसे curves दिखाती है, तो इसलिए is called Meandrina or brain coral. So these are the very famous example of that, some of the Cnidarian family. I hope you understand it clearly. Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please like and share with your friends, and subscribe the channel and support me. Thank you. Hope you all understood this video. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.